How about that cigar?
How about that cigar?
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Drew Estate Cigar Studios to episode number 92 of How About That Cigar Live. Thank you so much for joining us. Take just a minute, if you would, please. Share us out with your favorite Facebook cigar groups. Share it out on Instagram. Share it out on all the social media goings on and let them know we are live right now. Thank you so much for listening. If you're listening on the audio podcast after the fact, we are so grateful that you're taking some time while you drive down the road or while you work out, whenever you listen to your favorite podcast. Thanks for making us a part of that. And as always, the Drew Estate Cigar Studios bring you this show, and let's talk to you about the Bauhaus cigar. The basic tenet of Bauhaus architecture is that every object must have a purpose in the design. The new Liga Privada Bauhaus Short Robusto pays extra attention to leaf placement within the cigar. Intentionally designed to take our European aficionados through a newly curated experience. The Bauhaus is a 114 millimeter by 50 short Robusto that is wrapped in a rich, earthy Connecticut broadleaf capa, introduces a bold Brazilian binder, and is completed using filler tobaccos from Honduras and Nicaragua. The Liga Privada Unico Series Bauhaus is packaged in an elegant gold embossed 12-count box. The Liga Privada Unico Series Bauhaus, now available at EU retailers through Drew Estate's European distributors. For more info, please visit drewestate.com. So welcome again. Episode 92. We are creeping up on the elusive episode number 100. Mm-hmm. We're also creeping up on this. This is crazy, guys. So started working on this a long time ago, and we're actually also creeping up on February 1st, which is 2 years since this whole thing started. So the website for howaboutthatcigar.com actually launched and went live on February 1st, 2019. That is just crazy. So thank you guys for sharing the journey with us. As always, tonight, tell us what you're smoking. Tell us what you're drinking, while you're watching the show. Put that in the comments. We're going to have a great special guest coming on in just a couple minutes. So if you have any questions, please make sure to also put those in the comments. So we just finished, for those of us who like to watch a little bit of football, we just finished Wild Card Weekend. Very different kind of wild card weekend, because packing a lot of games into a short period of time. But there were some, kind of like football usually is. There were some games that were kind of boring and dull, and there were some kind of exciting games. That Cleveland-Pittsburgh game, Baker Mayfield. That one. That guy with the words and the syllables in his name.
The Maker Bayfield.
Maker Bayfield. Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
So good.
That was it was a great game to watch, because I mean, I don't hate the Steelers. I don't hate Ben Roethlisberger. Mm-hmm. I think seeing Cleveland, being so terrible for so many years, and seeing them have not only a playoff win, but an absolutely definitive embarrassing performance, embarrassment of another team, where they basically just took it to Pittsburgh and just railed them the whole game. It was incredible. And I like Baker Mayfield. I like Chubb. I like, that team is really solid, and it's cool to see.
Oh, the early game was really boring.
Yeah.
It really was. But that Cleveland-Pittsburgh game, and, I don't know if you guys watch TikTok or you watch any of the YouTube stuff, but the amount of Pittsburgh fans that destroyed their televisions and had tantrums. Yeah. It's pretty epic.
Well, and a friend of ours from Minnesota Herf Connection, Mark Ward, he commented, he and I were kind of jabbing at each other on Facebook last night, and he basically said it was all my fault, because as soon as that crazy snap went wrong at the beginning, I just posted on Facebook, boy, that escalated quickly. And he basically said, Matt Ty, I blame you. And I'm sorry, Mark, your team just really didn't play very well.
Nope.
So my Green Bay Packers, very exciting. We're still in it. The divisional round, look on your screen. It looks like this. The Rams are playing at the Packers. The Ravens are playing at the Bills. Those are the 2 Saturday games. And then Sunday, the Bucks are at the Saints and the Browns are at the Chiefs. And I think all 4 of those games are going to be very exciting. As much as I love my Green Bay Packers, again, I think this is going to be a very difficult game because the Rams defense is ridiculous. They're very, very good defense. So, but we're not just gonna lay down. That's why you play the game. So it'll be exciting. So for you guys, little by little, we're starting to see, we've seen a shift back and forth for wherever you live, as far as lounges being open, cigar shops being open and closed. So continue as always to support your local brick and mortar cigar shops. Call them, check with them on Facebook. Check on their availability, and if they're open, please go and support those businesses to because if we lose our cigar lounges, I don't even want to think about that. Let's not lose our cigar lounges. So get out there and support those local businesses and keep them going. So let's bring on our special guest of the evening for the main segment of the show. And as always, guys, the main segment of How About That Cigar Live is brought to you by Corona Cigar Company and coronacigar.com, the internet's largest and easiest to use virtual cigar store. Corona Cigar Company offers you the finest handmade cigars, humidors, and cigar accessories at the absolute lowest possible price. You'll also find unique and limited cigars containing Florida sun-grown tobacco. As a proud American, president and founder of Corona Cigar Company, Mr. Jeff Borshowitz believed it was possible to bring cigar tobacco farming back to Florida. At Corona Cigar Company and coronacigar.com, you'll find the best selection anywhere in the world of cigars containing this special Florida sun-grown tobacco. If you live in Florida or are just visiting, be sure to visit any of the great Corona Cigar locations in downtown Orlando, Sand Lake, Lake Mary, and also the Davidoff of Geneva Lounge in Tampa. For more info, please visit coronacigar.com and floridasungrown.com. So, ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, please, if you would, welcome to How About That Cigar Live, episode number 92 from Macanudo. Laurel Tilley, welcome to the show. How are you?
I'm well. How are you?
Fantastic. Thank you so much for being on the show.
Of course. Thanks for inviting me. Also, I just learned you were a Packers fan while I was waiting to be let in. So I guess kudos to you. Well, I didn't really do much. I just stare at the screen and cheer for them and occasionally throw the remote across the room. It depends on my mood. Yeah.
I don't get into it as much as I used to. My kids even have memories of a couple times of me just really getting way too into a game. So I toned it down because I realized they don't need to see that. They don't need to see dad yelling at the TV screen over a stupid football game.
Well, I think even my dog knows when I'm watching football now, that because my dog is attached to me like crazy, and he just knows the sound of football, and he's like, oh, nope, I'm not doing this today.
I'm going to see myself out of this situation.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
That's awesome.
So, Laurel, thank you for being on. And we know that, we talked a little bit before we went live that, you're traveling right now. So being in a hotel room, unfortunately, you can't smoke with us. But tell us where you're broadcasting from and, just give us a little bit of an idea of how was the New Year transition for you and turning that page from 2020 into 2021.
Well, I am in the lovely Courtyard Marriott in the Fairfax area, just outside of DC. So we're really not doing too much traveling as of yet, but I'm out here working with one of our reps who is a little bit newer to the company and just kind of visiting some accounts and spreading the good word of Macanudo. So 2021, honestly, I mean, time at this point is arbitrary. I still kind of feel like it's March of last year. It's like once the pandemic started and we got grounded and stayed home, it's like time just halted. So like, yes, we had the holidays. Like, yes, things happen that tell you it's later in the year, but I don't believe it. So I feel like at this point in time, it's still just an extension of last year. Just kind of waiting for things to, get opened back up eventually here and, have travel rolled out and kind of get back to normal a little bit. But I've been able to do a little bit, so that's been nice. Get out, see some people,
Yeah.
and still smoking cigars, except obviously for right now, because I don't think Marriott would be thrilled if I started smoking in their hotel room.
Yeah.
And Laurel, tell us, what is your position with Macanudo?
So I am the national brand ambassador, which is just a little bit of everything. So my primary duty is to go out and work with our local reps and run events and just kind of talk about the brand and promote the brand, doing things at this capacity. And I also work with the blend selection panel to develop new future blends and to choose blends that we will be bringing to market. So, but primarily traveling around and working with our reps.
Well, and speaking of blends, Laurel, thank you for sending us some cigars to feature on the show tonight. And
you're so welcome.
I have to say that, so I just fired up the Inspirato Palladium.
Okay.
And I am not just, blowing smoke here. This cigar is really, really tasty. And I dig it a lot. So Garrett, tell us what you fired up.
And I fired up the Inspirato.
The green.
Okay, the green.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, so two very different cigars. The Palladium is a limited release Inspirato that we do in the fall every year. I say every year, it's only been 2 years, but it is an annual release. It's an Ecuadorian Connecticut wrapper, and we're using a 5-country blend in it. So it's a really unique blend in that it's mellow still, but super full flavored. I think there's this misconception that if a cigar is inherently mellow, that you're just going to also have a muted flavor, but you very much can have something on the lower end of the strong spectrum and still have a really good flavor. And then we're also doing a tertio aging process with that. So we're aging the tobacco in palm bark. So it is going to give it a little bit of a sweetness, both in flavor and aroma. And it allows those oils and flavors to sort of stay locked into the tobacco as it ages, as opposed to burlap, which can kind of come out over time.
There's a great, there's just this great underlying sweetness to the aroma. The retrohale has got nice sweetness to it. There's a, through the nose, there's this really cool kind of mild spicy bite, but it goes with this sweetness really, really, really well.
So we got I got sent a fair amount of Palladium right before we released it again this year. And I don't know, like I had a bunch of 5-packs and they had kind of gotten pushed to the back of the humidor. So I didn't remember that I had all of these packs of Palladium. And not that long ago, I was going through the humidor looking for something in particular. And I just stumbled upon like 7 to 10, I don't remember the exact number of these 5-packs. I was like, oh my God, there's so much Palladium here. So that's like all I've been smoking for the last couple of weeks because I really like it. And I thought I just didn't have any more, except maybe like 1 or 2 miscellaneous ones. And then I found this like unintentional secret stash in the back of the humidor. So that's how you ended up getting one of those.
Well,
love it.
Yeah, we're grateful. And so one of the things that, since this is your first visit on the show, when people come on for the first time, we really like to at least spend a couple minutes just learning how you became enamored with premium cigars. So tell us a little bit about the first time you sat down and smoked a premium cigar, and gradually how that led to you being the national brand ambassador for Macanudo.
Okay. Well, the first time I sat down and smoked a cigar, it was not a premium cigar. It was in January on my birthday.
Oh.
We sat outside because it was right when the smoking ban was implemented. And it was not a terribly enjoyable experience because I was like, man, I'm cold. I'm sitting in the snow. The cigar, it wasn't necessarily, I think, what I needed for my first cigar to try to introduce me into the world of premium tobacco. But I tried it again, and here we are, like 10 years later. So the first premium cigar that I ever sat down and smoked was the San Cristobal del Sol. And
wow.
Nice.
That was a big leap from the first cigar that I had, which was a Grenadier. And
yeah.
like, okay, I could get on board with this because I have been given to try a few cigars here and there, a few of them flavored, a few of them not. And I hadn't really found anything that I was super into. Like, I don't dislike it, but these aren't making me come back for more to make this like the focal point of an activity that I'm doing. And then the cigar shop that I eventually ended up working at was near the college that I went to, and I had gone there with some friends, and they had recommended the Del Sol. And now in hindsight, that was probably like a little stronger than I needed as I was still dipping my toe in the water, but it was just such a good cigar. And I remember thinking to myself, like, wow, this is how it should be. Like, this is what cigars are all about. Like, I'm actually really enjoying that. And that was kind of the first step in my cigar journey to trying other cigars, kind of similar to that profile, and then branching out to really get my footing and figure out what I liked.
Yeah. So, sorry, Gary. Go
No,
ahead.
I was just going to say, do we talk about misogyny now, or is that going to be later in the show? I mean, I do want to address the misconception that cigars are just this old guys, club. Can you talk a little bit about, what it's been like as a woman to really immerse yourself in the culture and cigars, and what that's like?
I mean, and it's interesting because I get this question fairly frequently, but it's like as time goes by, it's ever changing. Like, I feel that at this point in time, people like acknowledge that I'm a young woman in a cigar shop. And I would say on most occasions when I'm in a cigar shop, it's at the, for work. So I'm walking in with a rep, I'm there to do an event. So there's less of a mystique about it because like it's clear that I have a scheduled visit there. But I think that it's less of, oh, you're a young woman smoking a cigar, whether it be with someone else or by yourself in the cigar lounge, and oh, cool, another cigar smoker. So not that there was really any, at least for me, like perceived stigma around it. It seems like over time it's less and less,
A thing.
yeah, odd to see
Yeah.
like a woman by herself in the cigar shop smoking a cigar. I mean, and even now I'll go to different cigar lounges and I will see single women, well, single at least in that capacity. I don't know their personal life. But by themselves at the cigar shop, like doing work, watching something on their phone,
Yep.
or just hanging out with friends, or just going there simply to read a book and smoke a cigar. And I think that's very, very cool because we just see it becoming more popular. Again, not necessarily more accepted, but it's less jarring, if that makes sense.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's a great thing that and you're totally right. Over the past, there does seem like there's been a big increase in that, even just in the last recent years, maybe, I don't know, 5-6 years, where it's like you said, it's just part of cigar culture now. It's not, it's nothing. And I think that's a fantastic thing. I think it should always just be a part of cigar culture, that anybody who wants to sit down, and share in this culture and smoke a premium cigar, you can be from any different background. You can be male, female, you can be religious, non-religious, you can be political, non-political, you can love the Packers, you can love the Bears, whatever it is.
Well,
maybe not the Bears, maybe not the Bears so much, but but you can sit down together. And it just
transcends
the tobacco.
So
the tobacco, they're honestly, not to get all deep thoughts, but the tobacco really does kind of break through all that bullshit and just make something kind of cool out of a community of people.
Yeah, it doesn't seem so much to be anymore like a cigar smoker and then a woman cigar smoker, if that makes sense. It's more of just like the all-encompassing cigar smoker.
Yeah. And especially in the South, like as I traveled, there are more and more women in the South that I've noticed that are getting more and more into the cigar culture than in the North and Midwest.
Okay.
I've noticed. I don't know in your travels what you see there, but the sprinkling up here is light, but it's growing.
Okay. I mean, I would say in general, mean, like overall, yes, I see an increase. I see bigger pockets of like women's only cigar groups more in like the East Coast. And I would agree with you a little bit more into the South. I mean, there's a big women's group in like the Charlotte area. I know actually there's one in there was Cigar Babes in the greater Milwaukee area. And then I know there's like a Chicago women's smoking club. So there's a few in the Midwest, but yeah, I mean, I would say the South, I see less groups and more just individualized female smokers going in by themselves. Whereas the East seems to be like there's a greater population, but more of like the group club mentality, if that makes sense.
Sure. Yeah.
So in kind of in the world of premium cigars, even outside of the culture of premium cigars, you know, just the general population, there are certain words and names in the cigar business that everybody will recognize. One of them is Cohiba. Cohiba, whether it's a cigar smoker or a non-cigar smoker, people just know that name.
Yes.
And honestly, Macanudo has become that same way, where it's a word that almost just means cigars.
Yeah.
And people just know that name. So, you know, so many people can claim a Macanudo as their first cigar. That's so common, where, you know, that it was one of my first premium cigars was a Hyde Park, you know, no lie. And I think that's really common. Actually, you find people who've been smoking cigars for more than a year or two. Honestly, people who've been smoking cigars for more than a month, they'll say, yeah, I've tried a Macanudo. And I think it's a really good recommendation for newer premium cigar smokers, because it's flavorful, it's approachable. And so what does that mean to you to be the ambassador of such an iconic name?
You know, it's funny that you asked that question, because when it all sort of happens, like you're in it and you don't really like reflect from the outside and say, oh, wow, it's super cool and a great honor to be part of this powerhouse brand that is Macanudo. So I think you're just like so ingrained in just the day to day of like the smoking and talking to people and doing events and traveling and stuff, that it wasn't until maybe like a year or two ago where I was talking to a friend about it, and they're like, yeah, so like I really didn't know a lot about what you did, and I looked up Macanudo, and it's like a crazy big brand, and like you guys are responsible for like a lot of sales and stuff. I'm like, yeah, I know. Don't remind me. But no, I mean, it really is crazy to think about a brand as big as Macanudo and then just being able to sort of be so immersed in that world. So yeah, it is definitely humbling. And it is really cool to know how many people have used Macanudo as, you know, a stepping stone to their first cigar. I mean, hopefully with like the addition of the Inspirato series, like a lot of people's first cigar was the Cafe series, particularly the Portofino. I get a lot. But then, you know, trying something different, like the Inspirato Green, you know, Garrett, like you're smoking, or like the Inspirato Red or the Inspirato Black, something that's going to offer a little bit more of a fuller bodied smoking experience, fuller flavor, stronger. But anyway, yeah, to make a short answer long here, it's cool. I like it.
It's kind of a big deal.
It's very interesting, and it's just to be on a brand with so much history. And really just having its roots so deep in the cigar industry, I find to be, quite truthfully, a very big honor. So I try not to mess it up.
So, and I even know, I even know at least one guy who just genuinely, he just uses the word Macanudo. He's like, I'm going to
descriptor for cigars.
Yeah. He says it's like using
Kleenex.
the word Coke or Kleenex or whatever. He said he's like, I'm going to the shop and I'm going to pick up a couple Macanudos, and it's like, oh, okay, that's great. I gotta. And then he comes to my house or whatever. He's like, yeah, I grabbed a Arturo Fuente Macanudo, and I grabbed it, and I'm like, no, dude, they're they're different brands. He's like, I don't care. That's just what I call them. But that's
amazing.
It's actually a cool thing that and I know guys on kind of the other side that use the word Cohiba. They say, I'm going to go to the cigar shop, pick up a couple of Cohibas, and it could be any brand.
Yeah.
But to have that name with that kind of brand power behind it is pretty. I mean, it's just it's so cool to have that kind of history, you know, behind a brand that you get to represent every day and teach people about, who, especially younger cigar smokers, because today with social media and things like that, you know, the people always want to know what's the newest, latest, and greatest thing on the market. But sometimes we lose sight of the fact that some of the brands that have been around for decades are still really good to this day.
Yeah, I mean, it is very easy to lose sight of that because, to your point, it's always what's new, what's exciting, what's fresh, you know? And I am a victim of that as well. Like falling to not necessarily with cigars all the time, but just, you know, what's new, what haven't I seen before? But there's a reason these brands have been around for a very long time. Like, I really enjoy some of our old school blends, like the Excalibur Cameroon. I always include the Excalibur Cameroon on my cigar orders because I just enjoy the hell out of them. And it's one of those cigars you give to somebody and they're like, oh my gosh, I haven't smoked this in, you know, this many years. I forgot how good this is. I'm like, I know. It's like you have to make a conscious effort to say, okay, what did I used to enjoy? What can I revisit? Because it's great that not only us, but the industry as a whole is constantly developing and producing new cigars, innovating, using different blending techniques, tobaccos from different countries of origin. Like, I love that. I love that in a world where tobacco is just taking a beating from every which way, that we're still able to innovate like that. However, it is important to remember that sometimes your old, you know, tried and true standby cigar is worth smoking again.
Yeah,
absolutely. And so Macanudo, when Macanudo comes into the conversation amongst, you know, the cigar cultured or, you know, the cigar nerds, it's pretty typical that I hear it talked about as this old brand or this beginner brand or kind of the gateway cigar for a lot of people. But with this new Inspirado, I don't want to say new, but with the Inspirado line that came out and all the new things, how are you seeing that start to transition?
Yeah, and that's a really good question because it's been really interesting in just even the last 4 years to see the difference of like public reception. Because to your point, Macanudo was almost synonymous with being a mellow cigar. It was your grandfather's cigar. It was somebody's first cigar, the cigar that you could find at every hotel, restaurant, golf course, what have you. And they definitely still have a place in the market. I mean, the Macanudo Cafe series is still our bread and butter. It's still one of our best-selling cigars. But I think there is this shift happening where the Inspirado line in its infancy had a little bit of hesitation, I think, because people were expecting it to be just a mellow Macanudo. We got some really good accolades on the Inspirado Orange back in 2016. And then with the release of the black, the white, the red, and then now the green, people are starting to sort of come around and think differently about the brand. And that is evident in the events I do. I would say that when I first started out doing Macanudo events, specifically Inspirado events, you would get maybe, I don't know, I'm trying to put a hard number on this. Obviously, it varies account to account, but a good portion of people saying, oh, I haven't smoked a Macanudo in 10 years and I have no intention of doing so. They're too mild for me. And then trying to convince them that the Inspirado series is probably, you know, it is different from what they're expecting, especially if they want something stronger, fuller flavor, fuller bodied, right? And now when I'm doing events, I would say that the vast majority, if not everybody at the account, has had an Inspirado at some point, and they have sort of a different outlook on Macanudo as a brand. So I think it's a slow process. I mean, you have to play the long game with that. You can't one day wake up and say, hey, remember Macanudo when you used to smoke it years ago? It's now different. But it's not different because we still make the original ones. So just letting it kind of sit in the marketplace and garner a following and getting people just to think differently about the brand, that it's still innovating and it is still relevant. So
yeah,
awesome.
Well, and I I think that the team that you're a part of with everybody at General Cigar, we've been very fortunate to have other people from the family, on the show. We've had Sean Williams on, we've had Justin Andrews on, we've had Ricky Rodriguez on, and just I think there's great things happening with General Cigar as a family because of what you talked about, and that is that all of the brand ambassadors, yourself included, are doing like you said, which is taking these storied, brands with a lot of history behind them and flipping the script to make them a part of the new cigar culture, where it's cool and it's okay to love a brand that's been around since your grandfather was first smoking cigars. And
right.
At the same time, the brands are innovating and putting forward blends that appeal to the newer generation of cigar smokers who tend to really drive towards really full flavored, full bodied stuff. And so tell us a little bit about the General Cigar family. What is the dynamic like for you guys as a group? It's yeah, exactly. But it's got to be such a just such a great time to be able to work with such great people like some of the people we mentioned.
It is, and Rick, Sean, Justin included, we don't get the opportunity all that often to spend time together because the majority of all of our positions is doing individualized or specialized branded events, right? So Cohiba and Macanudo aren't necessarily teaming up to do something like that. So really the only capacity at which we're seeing each other would be like a Big Smoke, Rocky Mountain, Cigar Fest, stuff like that. So we always try to keep in contact with each other. Sean jokes that we're all on our own little island because we kind of have this interesting position at the company where we're like, we're not quite sales, we're not quite marketing, we're not quite PR. It's like this weird sort of like hybrid kind of catch-all position. And, only the limited amount of us really have an understanding of like, the day-to-day needs of it. So I really enjoy having them as my coworkers. I mean, I can honestly say for a company as big as we are with all the employees that we have, like I enjoy working with all of our reps. I love the time that I get to spend with Rick or Justin or, Sean or like Max Stokaby, who handles our pipe tobacco. So he's in our position basically for pipe tobacco. Yeah. We have so much fun at those kind of events. And I wish that we could spend more time together, but yeah. And it's really cool to sort of lean on each other, whether it be, I'm having trouble with, trying to set up something with this account in this area, do you have any experience with them? Or it's, hey, looking at different packaging options, trying to, I don't know, it's everything. It's like, professional support, emotional support. So it's really cool to have those people in your life as your coworkers because, again, being in the situation and just dealing with them on a day-to-day basis, like I don't think I realize how grateful I am to have good people like that and to have a good support system professionally. And then to, see friends who have like, bickering issues with their coworkers, there's always something going on. I'm like, man, I'm really lucky.
And so the one thing that I've enjoyed, preparing for this show is to really see how much of a cigar nerd you are. And you're not just this brand ambassador, this, pretty face that goes around and, but that you truly love cigars, the cigar industry. And you started doing these videos late last year, MacFacts, and doing just a little segment on part of tobacco. Can you tell us a little bit about that and what we might be able to expect in the future?
Yeah, and I love the MacFax videos. So when we sort of got grounded and we weren't able to travel anymore, I was trying to come up with just creative ways to be on social media that was like interesting and consumable without just being like, oh my God, she's on here talking for an hour about nothing. I don't care. So I went through all of our different blends and sort of gave an overview on those, talked about maybe some like pairing suggestions, but I wanted to do something that was a little bit less specific to Macanudo and a little bit more broad for the cigar industry. So the MacFax videos, I call them MacFax because, I'm still a Macanudo girl, right? But it's just kind of general tobacco education. So one of them I talked about Connecticut shade, the delicacy of it, where it's grown, how much a plant yields. I mean, really getting into the weeds of that kind of stuff. One was on broadleaf, one was on nicotine, one was on like the tobacco diseases and crop rotation. So stuff that it's like you don't know. And just these sort of like everyday interesting anecdotes about tobacco. Because I get like the nicotine one for me personally, I get the question all the time, like how the nicotine of a cigar compares to the nicotine of a cigarette. Yeah. And I was like, honestly, I'm not totally sure. Like, I know there's less and you're getting more concentration from a cigarette, but as far as like the actual like percentage and like the, the science behind it. So I actually worked with our tobacco procurement guy, Ernest, out of he's in the Hartford area, and he's the one who like oversees all of the independent farmers in Connecticut, and he goes to Brazil to get our tobacco. He works with the farmers in Cameroon to make sure that we're getting the tobacco that is up to our standards. So anyway, he's in a crazy cool position, and he is literally a fountain of knowledge. He's actually writing a book about like the science of tobacco. So I'm really excited to read that when it comes out. But I worked with him to get some more of the technical questions, like the nicotine content and some stuff about the tobacco viruses. Because as much as I love cigars and as much as I think I know, I mean, I would say that I know a fair amount about cigars and tobacco, but I also would not say that I know everything. Like, I am far from knowing everything. I'm like comfortably in the middle. And talking to somebody like Ernest, even after nearly 10 years in the industry, like just for me to learn something new and to like really like latch onto it, was like, oh my God, that's so interesting. Tell me more. And so it's that kind of stuff that I want to translate through to these MacFax videos. Maybe it's something that I'm learning more about, something that, again, can translate to other cigars, not just specifically Macanudo. So just sort of like a general tobacco education.
Yeah.
Yeah. And, you guys, check out her videos on MacFax. One of the things that blew me away is the blue mold fact. And if you don't know about blue mold in tobacco, it sucks.
Not good.
Is it Ecuador?
Mm-hmm.
Ecuador doesn't
get blue mold.
Doesn't get blue mold.
Right.
Yeah. Who knew? Not I. I literally did not know that before talking to Ernest, because I knew some like general stuff about tobacco diseases and stuff. But to be honest, like, I don't want to say like I don't have to know that, but like how often in conversation are like tobacco viruses and the issue of them coming up, right? But it's something that like does affect year to year the crop. So I wanted to know more about it. And when he was talking about the blue mold thing, I was like, that's so interesting. I wonder if other people would find that interesting. So I'm really glad that you do.
You mean you're not getting brick and mortar shop owners asking you all the time, does blue mold happen in Ecuador? Because if it does, I'm not buying it.
I know.
So you talked a little bit about, some of the stuff that you've been reaching for lately, but if you go back over the last couple of years and you think about, the Macanudo cigars that you keep on hand all the time, is there one from the line that you can say that you yourself, more often than any of the other cigars from Macanudo, that you find yourself reaching for?
Absolutely. Inspirato Orange and Macanudo 1968. Those are vintage. I've been smoking a lot more of the vintage 97 lately, just because I remembered to get myself a box. I love those too, but those to me seem a little bit more decadent. Like I have to have an occasion to smoke it.
Yeah.
But yeah, the Inspirato Orange is definitely my favorite of the Inspirato series, and probably my favorite for Macanudo as a whole. The 1968 is right up there, and like I said, the vintage 97. Although I've been smoking a ton of the green, and then again circling back, I've actually been smoking a lot of the Palladium lately as well. But yeah, the orange and the 68 for sure.
Yeah, I agree with you on the 68. It's one that after a big meal with a hearty beverage and honestly even a bowl of ice cream, I think that cigar goes nicely after a big meal like that. I like it myself.
It's so underrated, and it's one of those cigars that kind of falls into the the older category. Like it's been around for a while. It's not something that people think about. Like I often think people overlook it as a line within Macanudo, and then they smoke it and they're like, oh my god, this is a really good cigar, and I'm like, I know.
Yeah.
So yes, that would be my recommendation. Like if you could have any, like the dark horse of the Macanudo line, the 1968 for sure.
Oh, that's good.
Yep.
So I want to look forward, I want to look ahead right now at 2021 for Macanudo cigars, and I want what do you guys have coming up as far as are you working on some new stuff that you're planning on releasing? You don't have to divulge the specifics, but are you working on some new stuff, or are you because with COVID we're still kind of seeing details worked out as far as which things are going to happen, which things aren't. So are you planning any events or in-store visits, things like that coming up in 2021?
I mean, yes, we have some stuff planned event-wise for the latter half of the year. Obviously we'll have to see how things shake out. Like I know Cigar Fest is typically scheduled for May, and right now we're working with an October date. So we do have stuff planned for the end of the year, but again, we just kind of have to take it as it comes. And I appreciate you saying that I don't have to divulge any details, but I can tell you that we do have a couple Macanudos coming down the pipeline in 2021 that you can look forward to.
Very good. Very good. Thank you. And we know that your people in the factories, are always working on stuff. And I know that it's just great to know that even with all the craziness that's been going on for the last 12 months or so in the world, that people are still working regardless of what industry they're in. And even in premium cigars, there's still people in the factories and the farms that are working on new blends and stuff like that. And we know that that you've still been working to get the word out about the brand and to teach people about Macanudo, about the history and about the the great stuff that is coming from the brand even now. And awesome to hear that there's stuff coming down the road, because as much as we love the stuff that's been around forever, it's always people are still lining up to say, hey, you got anything new back there?
That new thing,
right.
So, yeah.
Well, and it's nice because we have to plan so far in advance when we want to do a new cigar. So I mean, it's pretty seldom that, in January of 2021, we'd say by the end of, by December of 2021, we want this developed and released. So because the stuff has, some pretty extensive pre-planning, we're still able to release in 2021, which is nice. We do have some exciting stuff coming out. We've got a limited release coming out, and like I said, I can't go into details, but I can tell you that it is going to be an interesting seed and country of origin combination. So I'm excited about that. And I mean, and at a time when the cigar industry is up, people are smoking a lot. People are kind of coming back to this hobby, or they are just increasing how much they consume. Of course, we have to keep pumping new stuff out. We gotta keep people wanting to come back from Macanudo, right?
Yes, absolutely. Well, let's.
I want to check in.
Yeah, check in.
So when you have like a really good spicy meal, and there's that spice that lingers in your mouth. That's what I'm getting from this Inspirato green that I love. Is there's just this lingering good spice that happens in my tongue and the roof of my mouth that I'm absolutely loving. And this is delicious.
Now, have you, I guess this question can apply to both of you. Have you smoked your respective cigars before this show?
I have had the green before, and
You had the green. Okay.
I've had the green.
This is my first time with the Palladium.
Okay.
I've had all the Inspirato series except for right now this Palladium, and I agree with Garrett on the green that it's got a long. My terminology is it's got a really long finish.
Yep.
The finish stays with you.
Sure. Like it coats your palate. It doesn't just, wash away with a sip of water or something.
Correct.
Yeah. And this Palladium, I'm going to light up the green here in a minute because this Palladium, although it burned a little quick, it burned perfectly. The smoke output is extremely rich, and it's got what I like as a somebody who loves Connecticut shade cigars, because it's got depth and body at the same time as it has those notes that you come to Connecticut shade for, which is, the sort of baking spice notes and creamy mouthfeel and stuff like that. But it's also got richness and body to go on top of that. So I dig it big time.
Like it's very approachable for somebody who wants a mellower cigar, but it's also interesting enough for somebody who likes a more complex cigar.
Yep.
I used to smoke strong cigars, like crazy strong cigars, almost exclusively when I was in retail. And I think part of it was that I felt like as a really young woman cigar smoker, I kind of had to prove myself as being like a cigar smoker, like, oh, I'm not here to smoke mellow cigars. Like I'm going to smoke the most full bodied ones. And then after, I don't know, 6 months, I was like, I kind of started not paying attention to like strength and show, and more so like, okay, what do I actually enjoy as opposed to like, what do I feel like I need to prove? And I kind of found myself into that like medium bodied sweet spot. So I like a, medium strength cigar, fuller flavor, medium to full body. Like the orange really hits well for me, the green for sure as well. But I do love the Palladium because if I want something that's a little bit more approachable for the morning, or it's like, my millionth cigar for the day and my body just can't handle any more nicotine, but I still want the flavor.
So tell the truth. Did you have, when you were going through that full flavored, full bodied phase, and you could just going for the strongest thing you could, did you ever have one of those cigar experiences? And you don't have to name a brand, but did you ever have one of those cigar experiences where you got into, just past the halfway point of that cigar and you said to yourself, I've made a huge mistake?
So that has happened to me. Interestingly enough, it was not during this like prove myself phase. So one of them ironically was a La Gloria, and it was probably my third or fourth premium cigar. So I don't know what the person at the cigar shop I ended up working at was smoking, but he thought it would be a good idea to sell me this like limited edition, like little powerhouse La Gloria. And being young and naive and, thinking I was cooler than I was like, oh yeah, I can handle it. What's a strong cigar? What no big deal. And it was, definitely bit off more than I could chew. I've had that experience thrice, and every time sucked. So, but yeah, it was not actually in that experimental phase. It just, for the most part, besides that one at a Brewers game, ironically, so that I had to go spend a bunch of money on like lemonade and, candy at the park, Miller Park, and spend like $100 on, crap just to try to regulate my blood sugar. It's usually from the sheer amount of smoking rather than the cigar itself.
And that's a good point too. For those who are new to cigars, or you start getting that queasy feeling, first stop smoking, get some sugar into you, a can of pop, some candy, whatever, because your blood sugar is really low.
Yeah.
That's what nicotine does.
Yeah, even if it's just like a sugar packet, even if you're in a desperate situation at a cigar lounge and you start to feel it. For me, the first wave is always heat. Like I just get really flushed really quickly.
Yep,
and then I start to feel like shaky and nauseous. And I was like, oh. So even if it's literally just taking a sugar packet and putting it on your tongue, you need to do something.
Yeah.
Yep.
Go to the coffee station and steal a sugar packet. They won't mind. They won't mind.
No. And I would say avoid caffeine. Caffeine always makes me more jittery when that situation occurs.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, I think we
should.
Should we? Okay.
We
let's go with this week's Numero de los Muertos. And as always, guys, Numero de los Muertos is brought to us by Smoke Inn Cigars. And right now, if you would please watch and listen to this message from Honest Abe and Smoke Inn.
On February 20th, 2021, we will be taking on the endeavor of putting on an 8-hour virtual event, one like you've never seen before. For your ticket price of approximately $169 delivered to your door, you will get the TGS Party in a Box. This box will be filled with everything you'll need for our virtual event, including opportunities to purchase cigars at epic deals, epic packages, and some very special exclusive cigars being made from us by some of the most epic manufacturers in the industry. Carlito Fuente, Pete Johnson, Steve Saka, Aganor Salif, Perdomo Cigars, just to name a few. There's a very limited supply. Head over to thegraysmoke.com, purchase your ticket, and get your party in the box. We'll see you soon. Peace.
All right. So as always, Numero de los Muertos brought to you by Smoke Inn. So Garrett, what do you have for us this week?
Well,
I'm excited.
Me too. This is always our favorite segment of the show.
So this week's number is up there.
All right.
This is a global number. So every year, on average, just shy of 46,000 people a year die from this.
What?
Mm-hmm.
That's got to be the biggest number we've ever had.
Well, not the biggest one we've ever had.
Holy crap.
But
Globally, 46,000. And Matt, you and I collectively played 20 questions.
yep.
Yeah, and our
the
viewers can put in their guesses as well. We'll pop those up on screen, and we can ask for basically,
20 questions.
Think of the same way you ask 20 questions. You ask for basic clues about where it happens, how it happens, that kind of stuff. And
I play this all the time with any birthday or Christmas gifts that I'm getting.
Yep.
Drives my husband crazy. I'm like, do I play 20 questions? He's like, no. So I am very familiar with what I can ask. It's yes or no answers, correct?
Correct.
yes. All right. So I'll jump in quick and say and ask, are they workplace accidents?
They are not. It is not alcohol poisoning. It is not nut allergy.
Are they related to animals?
It is not related. Well, no, not in the way that you're thinking. No.
Well, how do you know what she's thinking?
Like bear attacks? I assume you're thinking you think I'm thinking like bear or shark attacks?
No, we'll get there, but we'll say no. We're going to say no.
Okay.
Josh says sepsis.
No.
No. Nut allergy?
No.
All right. Do these take place on land or water?
Yes.
Both. Okay. Adults or children or both?
Yes.
Yes, both.
It is medical. Yeah, it is medical.
All right, Laurel, I need your help. What do you got?
So land and water affects any age. Does it involve choking on something?
No.
Is it does it take place in any kind of a vehicle?
It does not.
Okay. I'm just firing up the Inspirato green here. So,
land or water, any ages, medical. The animal thing was weird, so I'm not letting go of that.
I agree. I think there's a secret clue in there somewhere.
Motion sickness. Gosh, that would suck to die from motion sickness.
Oh, yeah.
It is not. It is not infection from a bite. It is not shark attack. I did do shark attacks.
Yeah, we've already done shark attacks.
Does it typically happen on vacation?
I don't think so.
Fair enough. It's not like, some dumb tourist thing that people are doing when they're.
Yeah.
Right.
Is it
No, it's yeah.
Is it a sport? Does it happen during a sporting activity?
No.
Can it happen anywhere in the world?
Yes.
Chad says burns. Is it burns?
It is not burns.
Can you give us another clue? I think it's time to ask for another clue.
Okay. So if you think about, it's not an accident. I wouldn't put this in the accident category. And we're gonna go a little bit with so this is a hard one to give a clue to, because I feel like any clue from here on out is gonna be a dead giveaway.
That's why you should give us a clue.
I think you're giving us too much credit.
It usually happens after mealtime.
Does it have to do with a parasite?
It is parasites.
Damn it, I was going to ask parasites earlier, but then you said it wasn't an infection. I was like, wait, so that's it?
That's it.
That's it. So there are 12 main parasites that are typically foodborne, but you don't have to contract them food. Some happen out in the wild, some happen swimming, but most of them happen from unprepared food. But Ascaris is the number one killer for parasites in the world. And it fun fact.
Oh, fun fact about parasites.
I learned about Ascaris in junior high. My science teacher was a huge baseball fan, and if you remember the player Xylo Vercellis, he played in the 70s. He won Rookie of the Year, and then he completely dropped off the map. And it's because he contracted Ascaris, and he was never right after that. And
I've never even heard of that. It sounds like you're mispronouncing the word asterisk.
No, but it can do real serious damage to your intestines, because it's irreparable.
Correct.
I'd never even heard of it until right now. That's crazy.
Yeah, and we actually got to dissect a Ascaris colony
in high school,
in junior high
science class.
Yeah, it was fascinating.
So is this in the same category as E. coli or are those and salmonella?
No,
isn't this more aggressive because it actually goes in and
okay.
Yeah, so they're the unicellular. Well,
so those are you're talking parasites, and I think parasites. E. coli and salmonella are bacteria.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
I think it's pretty hard to diagnose too, because it doesn't really show up on anything unless you really know what you're looking for. So it's just kind of this big medical mystery until usually years later when somebody figures it out.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yep. So so parasites, 46,000 people a year.
Wow.
Laurel, well done.
Thank you.
Knocking it out of the park on your first ever Numero de los Muertos. That was great.
Yeah.
That was a tough one too. Seriously, it always seems like the larger the number, the tougher it is to guess. So
46,000. That's crazy,
isn't it?
That's
a
lot.
Yeah. So that was this week's
Numero de los Muertos.
And so what Christopher Morse is saying. Here's another interesting fact about it is
gross.
this number was higher in the 70s and 80s because people actually, there was a treatment that they would try on obese people of tapeworms. And a lot of people died because the tapeworm would just go freaking nuts.
You mean they would willingly introduce a tapeworm into the person's body?
Correct.
Oh,
Yes,
dude.
because then it doesn't like absorb like the tapeworm. They would eat it, but then like the tapeworm takes care of it. So it's supposed to like combat obesity.
Correct.
Ugh.
Yep.
They also use leeches for medical stuff too. So
Yeah.
like, I mean, I feel like it's a really nice thing to live in 2021 where medical
Yeah.
things are advanced.
Yep. Oh man. Well, let's move on to something lighter and more fun. So for Laurel, these are the lightning round questions. They're kind of fun and non-cigar related. So
Okay.
if you could choose to hear the thoughts of one living person for 10 minutes, who would it be and why?
Jeez. Okay, this is lightning round. I can't think about this too hard, correct?
You think about it as long as you need.
Yep, absolutely.
There's no clock on this thing.
Okay, the thoughts of one living person for 10 minutes and why?
Yeah.
Ooh. I don't know. I'd probably go with someone like Elton John because he's just like has so many crazy experiences, and like now it's 2021, he's not touring because like, you know, the pandemic and just like day-to-day life. Like what goes around in your head after having the experiences that you've had for 73 years?
Right? Did you see his carpool karaoke?
No.
Oh, so good.
Was it recent?
I want to say it was a year ago or
Oh,
so.
I'm usually about a year behind on that kind of stuff, so I'm about due to watch it.
Yeah.
That's a great answer.
I love it.
That's the first time. Yeah, that's a great answer.
It is.
All right, Laurel, if you were about to get into a fight,
Okay.
what soundtrack music would come on?
Ooh, if I was about to get into a fight.
What would your soundtrack music be for a fight scene in a movie?
That's a tough one. For a fight scene in a movie.
Yeah.
Like an album or just one song? Sorry, I'm asking like
It could
specifics
be
now.
anything.
Yeah.
It could be an album. It can be a song. It could be a symphony. It could be an opera. It could be anything. If there was a movie about you and one of the scenes in the movie was you getting into a big brawl with somebody, what would the music be behind that scene?
Okay, this is going to be a little like fringe, but are you familiar with like Gustav Holst and like the planets?
The planets, yes.
Yeah, Mars.
Yes.
Prisoner of War. That would be like the most epic song ever.
That is all right. No offense to anybody who's been on the show before, but that's the game's over. That's the best answer we've ever had. The game's over. That's such a great.
I got nothing.
I will play it for you. It's
Okay.
one of the just.
Oh, it's incredible. But you have to listen to the whole thing. Like you can't just listen to Mars. Like I don't know. I personally really like Jupiter, but that's just me.
Ditto. Girl, we are in the same wavelength because that's been one of my favorite symphonies since I was a kid.
Oh, it's incredible.
So
it's incredible. It is so influential on popular music where it is now that like people don't even know.
Yeah.
Like anyway, so yeah, that would be my epic song for a fight.
I love that. All right, so this one's kind of sports related. Well, it's directly sports related. So if choose one of the following.
Okay.
You could hit a home run as a starting pitcher. You could score a touchdown as a defensive lineman. You could score a goal in a hockey game as the goalie, or you could score a goal in a soccer game as the goalie.
I would hit a home run as a starting pitcher.
Fantastic answer. I love baseball, so that's great
Partly,
answer.
if I were to be famous for any sport, I would want to be a professional baseball player.
Oh yeah?
I don't know why. I think it would be so fun. And I think there's just a certain lack of expectation for anybody. Like, there's a lack of expectation for anybody achieving something in sports that isn't like their position. But I think baseball in particular, to get a home run, like that's such a big deal.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
That would be cool.
absolutely. All right. So if you could bring back any fashion trend from the past, what would it be?
Ooh, any fashion trend. Hot pants.
I love it. That's fantastic.
Yes.
All right. I lost my. Okay. If so, who was one of your most memorable childhood or teenage celebrity crushes?
That's a good one, man. Child or teenage celebrity crushes. I mean, I don't know. I was like really into Aaron Carter, but I don't know if that's, I don't think I was into him enough to like call him a celebrity crush, but I honestly, I'm trying to think of.
You never had any cute boy posters?
Yeah. Did you have posters on your wall?
I had the poster to the, it's what NSYNC album are they like marionettes on a stage?
What was that one?
I liked.
I'm old, so I'm the wrong person to ask.
I can picture the album cover, but I can't remember the name of it. Like it's like all five of them, like the marionettes on the stage. I don't know. I had that poster, so like I guess Justin Timberlake, I would probably say would have been my number one because I liked him in his NSYNC days and then also his solo career. So we'll go Justin Timberlake.
Oh, that's
He's
a great.
better than Aaron Carter.
I still have a man crush on Justin Timberlake.
Sure.
So
I would snuggle him hard.
And he's only getting better.
I know.
Yeah.
And he's hilarious.
I know. And like his stuff with Chris Stapleton and like he's so talented and so versatile. Like I think people don't give Justin Timberlake enough credit for like the talented artist he is.
Yeah,
totally.
If for anybody watching or listening, if you haven't seen the performance that he did live with Chris Stapleton of Tennessee Whiskey, you have to go on YouTube. It
gives me goosebumps just thinking about it.
One of the best live performances of any song I've ever seen in my life.
Yep,
crazy. And they did. I don't remember exactly what Man of the Woods was influenced by Chris Stapleton. I know they did like a collaboration song, and I think Chris Stapleton might have helped like produce or write it or something, or there's some connection. But yeah, the whole Man of the Woods album was great.
Yeah, I think the song was called Drink You Away. I'm pretty sure they co-wrote that song, I think.
Okay. And then there was Say Something, I know was another one with the two of them.
Yep. Yeah. All right, so last lightning round question. If you could add any person to Mount Rushmore, who would it be? It doesn't have to be a president, doesn't have to be politician, nothing. Any person, living or dead, if you could add their face to Mount Rushmore.
Ooh. I don't know. I don't want to like choose another artist, but I think like I would throw a Prince face up there.
Oh, for guys from Minneapolis, you're killing us. That's a good answer. Yes.
Like, could you imagine, you have the four presidents, you just have like Prince with his like quintessential Prince look, just like, chiseled and granite.
With the purple rain outfit.
Yes. With the round glasses.
Yes.
Oh my.
And the hair.
Yeah.
That's a fantastic answer.
I love that answer.
All right, so let's talk about a notable smokable. And for everybody watching and listening, as always, we mention one cigar every week that we smoked recently that just caught our interest. It could be something brand new to the market that we tried for the first time, or it could be something that's been a staple on humidor shelves for decades that we just tried again for the first time in many years. So, Laurel, is there something you've smoked recently that kind of caught you by surprise by how much either you remembered how great it was or something you tried for the first time that really kind of knocked you out?
I'm trying to think. So like I smoked Hoy de Monterey, the Hoy de Tradition the other day, which I haven't smoked in a long time. And that's one of my favorites from General. So I wasn't surprised by that, but it was nice to be able to like bring that back into the rotation and smoke it. But I am trying to remember the name of it. It's driving me crazy. It was a newer one from my father. It wasn't Flor de las Antillas. It wasn't the Judge. It wasn't because the
Fonseca.
Was it the new re-release of the Fonseca?
Yeah, that's what it was. It was the re-release of the Fonseca.
Okay.
And I had the original one whenever it was released initially, and I really like My Father as a company. I love the Flor de las Antillas. The Les Bijoux is one of my favorites.
Oh yeah.
So I was like, okay, I haven't picked this up. I don't think it's one that I've smoked, and I had it just last week, and I was like, damn, this is a really good cigar. So that would be my notable smokable.
Nice.
Mm-hmm.
What was one for you this week, Garrett?
For me, it was American Viking, the filthy Viking.
Oh
Nice.
yeah, that's a good cigar.
Yeah,
it really is. And it's one that really kind of put them. It was like it's their signature. Really,
Yeah.
and it's a really good one. For me, it was, so I went to a shop that I mention regularly just because I love the shop and I love the people there. Ramsey Smoke Shop, which is 30 miles, from here. Omar got in a cabinet of the warped Maestro del Tiempo 6102R, which is a rare size of that cigar. Aganorsa leaf tobacco in there, and I hadn't had one since I think they first came out in 2015, I want to say.
Okay.
I hadn't had one since back then. So while I was picking up some other stuff from Omar, I saw that cabinet there and I grabbed one, and I should have grabbed more because I forgot. It really is a very good, well balanced cigar.
Is that the Lancero?
No, it's more of a Corona.
Is it? Okay.
About a 46 ring gauge, which is my wheelhouse, and it's just it's just such a beautiful cigar with really balanced flavors and some of that kind of unique Aganorsa spin on the flavor profile, with a little Medio Tiempo in there. So really, really cool cigar.
You guys, and this green
I'd say that's a nubbable cigar.
Yeah, you're nubbing that.
Yeah,
is nubbable.
And I'm in the first third, and again, it's what I remember from the green the first time I smoked it within the last year, and I dig it. If you guys like a flavor profile that's bold and full bodied, that still has nuance behind it, this is the blend for you. The finish just sits there on the palate and lingers until you take the next puff. So
you guys are making me jealous. I wish I could smoke here in my hotel.
I know. For all you guys that look at the Macanudo brand and think it's whatever your preconceived notions are, please give them a try. This new series, and pay attention because it's a fantastic product. Both of our, all three of our cigars so far that we've been smoking have performed flawlessly. The draws have been great. The burn has been perfect.
Yep.
It's a damn good product.
And these are cigars that, how shipping can be with cigars. All of us who buy cigars and have cigars shipped to us, especially in cold climates like here in Minneapolis, you never know what the condition's going to be. And if you hope after a couple days in the humidor that things are going to even out. No issues here with construction, no issues with burn, no issues with draw. Yep. So that's what you want. You want a cigar that you can just smoke and not worry about. So well done. I
cherry picked the very best ones for you too.
Yeah. Totally. Like looking through each of them, like, no, not that one. No, not that one. No, put them on a draw test machine, take the cap off and put
right.
Yeah. So for our viewers and listeners, just to give you an idea of some stuff we have coming up. Next week on January 18th, we are going to have Kevin Shahan from Cigar Prop on the show, and learn from another person in cigar media about how he got started, what got him into cigar media in the first place. And then the week after that, this one we're really excited about because a brand that a lot of us love that we thought was dead is not dead. So we're going to have Michael Herklotz with Nat Sherman Cigars and their new venture called, and I'm gonna butcher this pronunciation. I have to talk to him on the phone and find out how to pronounce it. But I'm gonna say Ferio Tego. I don't know if that's the correct pronunciation. But it's super exciting, you know, for so many people in the premium cigar business who, you know, thought this brand that was around for decades and decades and nearly 100 years was gone. Well, it's not gone. So we're excited to talk to him. And more stuff coming up in the future. Like we said, we're coming up on February 1st, which is the 2-year anniversary, and we're coming up on episode 100, which we're grateful and honored to be, you know, even approaching a number like that. And it's all thanks to you guys for watching and listening.
Mm-hmm.
So Laurel, give us kind of a final idea. Where's the best place for our viewers and listeners to get all the latest and greatest info about Macanudo and how they can follow you guys?
Sure. So latest and greatest, we have launched a new website called Cigar World. So it's not exclusive to our brands. It's cigar news, media, content from all brands. So it's more of like a social platform than it is just like specifically our website. You can join different chat rooms. So if you like pairings, if you want to be in more of a brand specific chat room, like if you just after this are enamored with Macanudo and you want to join like a Macanudo centric chat room, you can find me there. But that'll give you all the information for, like I said, both our brands and just industry news. Interviews from different podcasts and media people like you guys. So that's kind of like your one-stop shop for everything, I guess, cigar related. If you are looking to follow me specifically, you can find me on Instagram at Macanudo Laurel. You can find me on Facebook at Laurel Tilley. And you can find my videos on YouTube as well at Laurel Tilley. So
nice. Well, Laurel, we are so grateful. We had a great time spending some time with you this evening. We appreciate your time, and we wish you an absolutely phenomenal 2020. We want we want for you and Macanudo to just, you know, break all previous records this year.
Well, I appreciate it. Thank you. And thank you so much for the invite. Like, this was super enjoyable. I'm really glad that I could sit down and chat with you guys. Like I said, I feel like it's not quite complete because I'm not smoking a cigar, but that's okay. We'll just have to have a redo sometime.
Yes,
totally.
Yes, next time. Absolutely. Well, and you know, you being in Milwaukee, it's not that far away, so we could definitely have an on-site event at a shop somewhere one of these days. Yeah,
and if you come in and you end up doing Brew City or something, let me know. And Minneapolis is it's easy to get to. I do it a couple times a year, so next time I'm up there, I'll totally let you guys know. We can have a cigar together in person. But seriously, thank you guys for the invite. I had so much fun.
Thank you.
Thank you, Laurel.
So for all our viewers and listeners, thank you again for watching. If you're on the audio podcast, we are grateful to you for spending time with us as always. Be sure to subscribe to all of our channels, whether it's the audio podcast, the YouTube channel, follow us on Facebook, all of the social media channels. You'll find us at HBT Cigar. If you have questions for Garrett or myself, email us directly on the website, howaboutthatcigar.com. And until we see you guys next time, as always, burn cigars,
not bridges.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, everyone.